Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. During a declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order limiting attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair this afternoon's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Ron Hunt, Asif Khan, Paul Kidd, and Nadini Sankar Peralta. City staff are also present: Brendan Clapp, Daniel Antonacci, and Jenny Kotas. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application are allowed to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This marks the end of discussion on this item. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. Are there any members of the committee who have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare this afternoon? None? Thank you very much. I understand that we have a request to close a file this afternoon. That is application number 25, which is 35 Glengrove Avenue East. Is the agent there?
Yes, Lauren Rose.
Yes, sir. You were requesting to close the application?
Yes, please.
Could I get your name and address, please?
Lauren Rose, 388 Spadina Road.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a request from the applicant to close this application. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on closing the application, please? Mr. Khan?
Sir, I move that this application be closed as requested.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That application has been closed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with the first item on our agenda, which is item number 16, 85 Albertus Avenue. I have the agent, Mr. Rubinoff, and I have 6 people registered to speak on this item. Mr. Rubinoff, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, hello, sir. Could I get your name and address, please?
Yes, it's Glen Rubinoff, 697 Mount Pleasant Road, Toronto.
Thank you. Sir, have you had the opportunity to read the city planning report of the 15th of July? Their staff is recommending that permeable materials are used in the construction of the proposed driveway.
Yes, and we are totally in agreement with that. We also read the transportation report that said they did.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Rubinoff, could you give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of the minor variances you're requesting?
Sure thing. So this is an application for a new home at 85 Albertus, and there are several variances on there. I do want to upfront withdraw some of the variances just simply because we've read some of the letters. We've also spoken with the clients and looked at the statistics on it. So if I could just briefly tell you what variances we are eliminating. So variance number 3, variance number 4, variance number 5, and
Okay,
variance
hang on
number
just a
10.
second, sir. So just a moment.
Yes.
So variance number 3, you're proposing to change it or delete it?
Eliminate that height variance.
Eliminating it,
Deleted.
so 3 is
Yes.
deleted,
4 is deleted.
4 is deleted,
5 is deleted.
5 is deleted,
And number 10 is deleted.
and 10, hang on just a moment. 10 is deleted. Okay, so just to confirm, variance number 3, which deletes with the proposed building height, that variance is being deleted. Variance number 4, which is the proposed of the west side exterior main wall height, is being deleted. 5, proposed height of the west side exterior main wall is being deleted. And variance number 10, which is the proposed height of the building at 10.4 meters, that's being deleted. So those are correct? Those are all you're changing, sir?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, if you could
The,
just proceed with what you see as the
Yeah, so we
variances,
have-
the merits of the remaining variances?
So the remaining variances are related to the driveway width, which is a minor adjustment of about 0.15, about 6 inches wider than what's permitted. And also the associated landscaping area, which the city itself has commented that permeable pavers would satisfy their concerns. And transportation, as I mentioned earlier, they had no concerns about this. The remaining variances that we have before you are related to building length and also density. We did submit in our supporting documents, a map of comparables in the neighborhood of redevelopments. And the density that we're requesting of 60.68 is entirely within keeping of redevelopment on this street and in the area. I'm not sure that seems to be, is it missing something? That's very odd. Let me just go through the addresses on, for instance, 119 Albertus has a GFA of 0.69. 123 Albertus has a density of 0.70. 133 Albertus has 0.695. Across the road at 112 Albertus has 0.71. And 118 has 0.75. So there are several. The map that we had submitted, I'm not sure why it didn't upload properly, but there's several homes in the area, and that's why city planning had no concerns with this application with regards to the density. With regards to the depth, this is an area where there's several homes have been approved and have been built that exceed the 14-meter requirement. It's a very, very, it's a small area in this neighborhood. Majority of lots in the city of Toronto permit 17 meters. This is a couple of blocks in here where 14 meters was there with the old bylaw, and it was maintained with the new bylaw. However, we've done our research, and we've got several homes, again, immediately, those ones that I'd mentioned, they all have approval for 17 meters, 23, 119 at 17 meters, the 17.29 at 140 Albertus, there's other ones, 112 Albertus, also at 17 meters. So the 14 meters isn't a realistic estimation of what is being redeveloped there. It's a kind of an unusual bylaw, but at the same time, what we've done is we've done a comparable in the area. If you also look at the site plan, if you look at the neighboring house on the left, you'll see that we extend beyond their house by about a foot. So we're not projecting back, way beyond everyone else in this neighborhood. There's lots of precedents of homes being approved 17 meters and beyond. It is a 133-foot deep lot. It's not a shallow lot. Sometimes, we shorten the house if it's a shallow lot. So based on those comments and those variances, I feel this is entirely appropriate for the site, for the street, and for the area. And I think that we've been sensitive to the concerns expressed about height in the area by eliminating all those height variances, wall height and overall height. And
Okay.
I'll leave it there and let the neighbors have a chance to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? And being no questions, we'll move to the first person on our list of registered speakers. I have Mr. Frank Miller. Are you there?
I am, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Miller, could I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Frank Miller at 83 Albertus Avenue.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you could just give us your views on the requested variances. Please note that the applicant has deleted 4 of the variances.
Yes, and we'd like to thank the applicant for doing so, and also thank you for hearing our matter today. Pictures supporting our objections are found in our supporting documents on your files. And I could spend the entire 5 minutes debating the claims made in one of the documents posted on the COA file for this application, but I would rather focus on what the purpose of this hearing is about, which is applying the 4 tests to see if these requested variances pass the test and apply the relevant and comparable data to determine this. Another key determinant is neighborhood voice, which is clearly demonstrated by the 15 letters of objection filed and the number of people speaking today in opposition to these variances. What I would say about the letter schedule on the file is that the design plans were stamped April 22nd by Mr. Rubinoff and submitted to the city prior to our first meeting with the applicants on May 24th. So we wonder how changes were going to be made to accommodate our concerns at that time. We have lived in this house next to 85 Albertus for the past 31 years. First, to speak about the variances related to length and depth, variance number 7 and number 9. While Mr. Rubinoff has presented a map of the area showing a variety of homes built over the past 17 years, the problem is that a lot has changed over this time period, And what we feel is most relevant is comparing apples to apples and like versus like. While we reviewed data purchased from the COA, it became readily apparent that the following homes on Mr. Rubinoff's map are not directly applicable to this application for several reasons, whether they are a different lot size than what our houses are of 25 by 134, whether it was the date of development or the type of development just being an addition. So for example, he cited 119 Albertus. Well, guess what? That's from 2007. 123 Albertus, 2016. 159 Albertus, also from 2014, also on a different size lot and does not have an integral garage attached to it. But that said, there are 3 properties that we feel are directly relatable and comparable to this variance being requested. Those are 112, 141 Albertus, and 158 Briar Hill. The average length of these 3 homes is 16.2 meters, which we feel is far more acceptable given the precedents already set in this immediate area. To favor 85 Albertas with a larger length would be inconsistent and not live up to the 4 tests to assess variances. But if you think the 17.6 meters alone isn't bad enough, they are also proposing an additional 5.94 meters of attached decks running from the rear of the home. The addition of 2 decks is inconsistent with other new builds cited above. All of the new builds are consistent in having a smaller upper deck with stairs leading to a ground level patio. None of the new homes have an upper deck running with the full width of the house of 5.99 meters as proposed. These decks will have an extremely negative impact on our property, especially from an upper deck only meters away from our 2nd floor master bedroom. As opposed to the privacy you would enjoy in having a ground floor patio, the proposed lower deck, which again is inconsistent with new builds in the area, has a height of 0.88 meters, meaning that if a fence was built to the bylaw of 2 meters in height, then anyone over 3 foot 6 inches tall would be visible from the properties on both sides of this property. So in summary, we're saying that the proposed length of 17.6 meters is out of line with recent COA decisions. The additional setback of the home of additional 0.38 meters extends the length to 17.98. The total length, including the front porch and rear decks, it now takes it to 26.1 meters. So we think that is excessively much for a lot of this size in this part of the city. Other concerns in terms of integrity of the neighborhood is a side door and side window. And since our house is the mirror of 85 Albertus, there is an original 1920s rear door that currently exists, which faces south. The proposed door on the plans will look directly into our kitchen window. We've submitted a picture there. Thank you for showing that. That has a side door, and only 2 houses of the new builds, which is 112 and 154 Albertus, have a side door, but both of those face a blank wall. 110 Albertus had a side door proposed, but was removed from the final building plans. Now they also want to add a side window, which is 5 feet in height, into what's called a storage room on the plans. This is not consistent with other new builds on our street, as only 2 houses, 112
Sir,
and
can you
134,
summarize, please?
Yep, have side windows. In our opinion, after speaking with neighbors on Albertus Avenue, Briar Hill, and Craighurst, that the variances being requested do not satisfy the 4 tests. In addition, the other concerns raised about the eastern side door and side window do not meet the general intent of the official plan, given the precedent set on our street. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, thank you, sir. Next speaker on the list is Mr. Chris Lucas. Are you there, sir?
It's me. I'm a female. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
here.
you, Ms. Lucas. Can I get your full name
That's
and
okay.
address, please?
It's Chrysula Lucas, and I am at 87 Albertus. I am exactly adjacent to the new proposed building.
Okay, thank you. If you could give us your views on this proposed revised application.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity to do so. So my family and I have lived on Albertus at 87 for about 30 years. Our home is almost a century-old home, and it is one that will be severely impacted by this proposed building, as well as many of the other homes. As our neighbor mentioned, there are 15 opposing letters to this bill. Most of us are severely impacted by the length variance and ask that the 3.6 meters is not minor, and that we ask that you do not approve this. The proposed development is 2 feet from our home. we ourselves built an addition, but reflective of our neighbors' wishes, we built an addition but stayed within the bylaws. We did not impact the street nor the backyards. We didn't interfere with light or create shadowings. But this building that they propose is a 3-story home extending past ours, as Mr. Rubinoff pointed out. Although it was slightly misleading that he said that it passes by about a foot by our home. What he failed to mention is it starts way ahead of our home. So not only he's using the starting line of 83 Albertus and the end line of 87 Albertus, which he's taking a bit of both to say that, oh, look, I'm starting here, but I'm ending here, which we feel is misleading. It is indeed a shallow lot, according to the size of the house they propose to build. We don't feel that the length and depth of the proposed home are suitable for this lot, nor for the characteristics of the neighborhood. I mean, I also want to mention that they did submit some information that proved we have a back deck, sir, and our back deck is 13.5 centimeters off the ground. We cannot peer into our neighbors, nor do we wish to. In consultation with our neighbors, we built this deck at that height. They, on their letter, said that my deck was 20 centimeters. I don't know where they got that information, but I have photographs to prove that is 13.5. The other issue I wanted to mention is we're very happy to welcome, our street is a very welcoming street. We do welcome the neighbors, but we'd like them to respect the bylaws. I want to point out that the 85 Alberta setback is adding further to the length that we have issues with. Okay, so a 141 Albertus is a precedence that we can look at. It was not approved for their length, and they set it back to past what they tried to get. And we respect that, and we hope that this is the decision that you will make today. In accordance to the, we feel it's just a lot of house for lower Albertus compared to the FSI, and we ask that it be denied to a more suitable index as the rest of our street. Of special notice, I also wanted to point out that these new houses that are being built, and I know I will take this up with the building, but they're going to put our 100-year-old home in a violation. Our chimney is now 2 feet above 85 Albertus. When they build to the heights that they want to build, we will be in violation. So they'll come and red tag our furnace and suspend our gas unless we brace at our cost, which we don't feel this is fair, our chimney or change our furnace. So these are things that the new neighbors need to realize. And I wrote in a letter to them these things that we do welcome them, but we would respect if they stayed within their bylaws. I don't want to be repetitive with Mr. Miller's speech earlier, but we do want to say that we are very proud members of our street and we welcome new neighbors, but please stick with the official plan. We don't believe that their plans do stick with the official plans of Albertus and our character of our street. They're intending to remove trees. These trees, I would like you to note that 85 Albertus was actually written up in the horticulture gardens and had many visitors to our old deceased neighbor's property to admire. Now, these neighbors are wanting to remove these trees. And again, that's a big concern for us. You know, already the city of Toronto is not meeting the regulated percentage of canopy. So
Madam, can you summarize, please?
Yes. So in conclusion, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to express our concerns. We live exactly 2 feet from them, and they're proposing to build 2 feet from the property line. So we have a great position to their length of their building. We ask that you deny this based on the character of the neighborhood and our privacy and shadowing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next person on the list. We have a Gillian Lim. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, madam. If you could please give us your views on this, but please, can you please not repeat material we've already heard?
Okay, well, I mean, I guess my objection is to the length, so that in that case it'll be repetitive, but I will keep my time to within the 5 minutes allotted. So I live directly across the street at 88 Albertus Avenue with my husband, 4-year-old son, and we're also expecting our second child next month. We've lived on this street now for almost 7 years, and there's a real sense of community and neighbors that I think you're beginning to get a sense of, and neighbors who truly, truly care about what happens to each other. Now, we realize that the majority of new builds in this area are being led by developers, so we're really happy to hear that the applicant in this case is a family who seems to be aware of and cares about how their actions may impact their neighbors and future relationships with those neighbors. I've already submitted this letter, which I see is on the screen here, that was revised on July 31st to outline my concerns. So as I mentioned, really, I just wanted to speak to my biggest concern, which has to do with increasing the length of this house to 17.6 meters, which at a 26% increase from the current allowable maximum is not, in my view, a minor variance. Now, I realize that there are precedents for recent bills for lengths that exceed the maximum, but in my view, I guess here's how I see this project as differing from those bills. Those bills were either on other streets or predominantly on the west end of Alberta, so closer to Rosewell. They were also led by developers who didn't care about residents' concerns despite significant and vocal objections. In contrast, this project is on the east end of Alberta's, which is closer to duplex, which has remained largely untouched and is peppered with unique old Toronto character homes. Even the more recent builds or remodels, including our property, as well as our neighbors at 92 and 96 Alberta's, we all abided by the maximum length of 14 meters. So to allow this new build to go ahead would represent a significant departure from the other houses on this section of the street, and as a result would have a significant impact on their immediate and adjacent neighbors' enjoyment and privacy. Personally, I guess allowing this variance on length has me really concerned as a homeowner living directly adjacent to two properties that will likely be new builds as well in the next few years, so that being 86 and 82 Alberta's. My husband and I invested a lot into our own renovation to build a home that would work for our family while being respectful of the neighborhood, and so we abided by the 14-meter maximum length. Our project didn't require going to the Committee of Adjustment. So to now allow a build to exceed that maximum length would set a dangerous precedent to our section of the street. Now, I appreciate that the applicant has invested a substantial amount in purchasing the property, and they have an expectation that they should be allowed to build a house as large as they wish, using the massive homes built by developers as a precedent. I guess I would just like to remind everyone that the lot sizes on our street are not large. They are generally only 25 feet wide, which proportionally was never intended to support a very large house. And I think that there needs to be some balance between the size of house one feels one needs with the reality of the infrastructure of the community, of what the infrastructure of the community can and should actually support. There are lots of very happy families here with 2 to 3, even 4 children living on Albertus Avenue that live in homes that have been built in accordance with the specified bylaws. So we look to committee members to consider the longtime residents and families of the street who will be significantly impacted by your decisions. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move to the next speaker. Lisa Lee, are you there?
Mr. Chair, it does not appear that Lisa Lee is present.
Okay, thank you. Is she there? No? Okay, we'll move on to the next speaker. I have a Jennifer Casaba. Are you there?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yep, it's Jennifer Casaba, K-A-C-A-B-A. I live at 80 Briar Hill Avenue.
Okay, madam, have you got anything to tell us that we haven't already heard today?
Just one point, I wanted to build on my neighbor's comments about the trees in the backyard.
Okay.
So thank you to the Committee of Adjustment for allowing me to speak today. My name is Jennifer Casaba. I live at 80 Briar Hill. My house backs onto the applicant's house. I submitted a letter to Committee of Adjustment outlining my concerns with the applicant's proposal. Given the other neighbors have very eloquently spoken to these concerns in detail and that you've also already read my letter, I won't repeat those concerns in my time today. I wanted to highlight that I have not had any conversations with the applicant. I received a form letter from the applicant after the notice period closed earlier this week, dated July 30th. In the letter I received from the applicants, they indicated that now would be the time that makes sense to remove the trees in the backyard. This is the first I've heard of removal of these trees. I'm very concerned about the proposal to remove the backyard trees. They are very large, healthy maple trees and characteristic of the neighborhood. They provide shade and privacy and are twice the height of the houses in the area. Without the privacy of these trees, I will be able to see directly into the back of the applicant's house and on their decks. I'm asking you to deny this application on the basis that further engagement with our community is required here, and to send a message that these large box houses, which require multiple variances, are not welcome in our community. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? No, we have one more speaker left. That is a Susan Glim. Are you there? Ms. Glen, are you there?
Mr. Chair, Susan Glenn does not appear to be present.
Okay, thank you. Go back to Mr. Rubinoff. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
You've heard the comments from the previous speakers. If you could address their concerns, please.
Sure. One thing I want to point out is the proximity of our house, the proposed house, relative to what's existing on the site. If you look at the survey, the existing house is pretty much right up against the next door neighbor. And the proposed house, we're moving away from them. So our impact will actually be a lot less on them in terms of privacy, in terms of light. So as you can see from the survey here, between 87 and 85, they're pretty much touching. So I know they had some concerns about the side yard setback request. We don't have a variance for a side yard setback request. We made sure to design it so that there wouldn't be any side yard setback variances. But that's also, it improves the situation in terms of roofs combined. Like I can only imagine that the roofs are all touching, the eaves are overhanging each other. So that was one point that was brought up. I just wanted to make very clear. There also was comments that came up about decks. We have no variances related to the decks. We have a deck that's a regular smallish deck that steps down to a patio, which is close to the ground. Again, these are things that my client's done for the enjoyment of their home, but they're not doing anything that is unusual or creating a precedent for the area. The other item related to the rear trees in the rear yard, my clients did submit a letter, a summary, which they distributed to the neighbors, which kind of goes into a little bit about the history of the property. But part of what they mentioned is that the tree at the back, there's a couple of trees back there. One of them is being held up through cables. There's some serious concerns related to the stability of the tree. It's not a tree that will impact on the build, it's a safety issue, and that's why they're looking at removing it. And that's something that they would go through the forestry department through a proper process. So it's not something before committee today, but it's something that I just wanted to mention. And the building length, there's a concern that these lots are undersized. It's a 133-foot deep lot, which leaves 53 feet from the back of the proposed house to the rear yard, which is very generous. It's not an issue of it being impacting on the neighbor behind. It's really, there's room back there and certainly a buffer between. And besides, any forestry generally requires replantings if trees are removed. So of course we would follow any guidelines from them on that front. I think those are the points I just wanted to make. That I think that staff had reviewed this file. They had looked at the decisions of what was approved on the street and in the area, and whether it's from 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 2 years ago, it's just what's appropriate for the site. And I feel that this is appropriate for the site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. I'll just ask the committee, does it have any questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Hi, Mr. Rubinoff. I just wanted to ask, a comment about the side door. And although committee doesn't have any sort of jurisdiction over that, I just wanted to hear from you if your clients would be willing to look at sort of doing opaque screening for that door that might overlook into someone's kitchen or, things like of that nature, just to aid in the privacy concerns.
Absolutely. There's no question. Privacy is a two-way thing. They want to have privacy just as much as the neighbors, and they would have no concerns with that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application? Please note that variance number 3 relating to the proposed height of the dwelling has been eliminated. Variance number 4 relating to the proposed height of the west side exterior main wall, that variance has been deleted. Variance number 5, the proposed height of the west side exterior main wall has been deleted. And variance number 10, which is the proposed building height under bylaw 438-86, has been deleted. So if I could get a motion on the revised application, please. Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that the application as submitted by the applicant with the changes and with the explanations that he's provided, for me, meets the tests, the 4 tests of this. I do believe that it is minor and within the neighborhood and whatever they're proposing to move forward with. So I'm going to motion to approve it, and with the changes made by the applicant today, such that variances number 3, 4, 5, and 10 be removed. And of course, the application would have already gone through forestry. We don't have forestry concerns here, but that would be something later on that they would look at. So that's my motion.
Ms. Sankar, were you going to put together the condition from city planning that they use permeable materials in the proposed driveway?
Yes, that too. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rubinoff, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Item number 17, which is 546 Fairlawn Avenue. Please note that I have the agent here, and there are no other speakers registered. Mr. John McAlpine, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Could I get your full name and address, please?
Name is John McAlpine. Address is 80 Bloor Street West, Suite 403, Toronto.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McAlpine. It's very clear what you're asking for in the variances we have before us. I note that there are no recommended comments or conditions from city staff, and that, again, there is no one here who is registered to depute on this item. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. No? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I motion to approve this application.
Thank you. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next item is item number 18, 11 Norcross Road. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Ali Shakari. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm present.
Yes, thank you, sir. I wanted to ask, have you had the opportunity to, before you start, could I get your full name and address, please?
Ali Shakari, 326 Shepherd Avenue East.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask if you've had the opportunity to read the city planning report of July 15th, where they recommend that if we approve your application, that you develop the proposal substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment and attached as attachment number 1 to their report. Have you seen that report?
Yes, sir, by all means, it's acceptable to us.
Okay, thank you, sir. You have 3 variances before us. It's very clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or would like a presentation. There being none, again, there are no, there's a condition from urban forestry and that condition from city planning. So could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the variances meeting the four tests of the Planning Act and conditional on the staff report and the TPPI report, I would move acceptance.
Okay, thanks. So you're I came out a little garbled, Mr. Hunt. So you're recommending approval subject to the city planning and urban forestry conditions? Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved subject to city planning and urban forestry conditions. Our next one is item number 19, 16 DENEWOOD Crescent. I have two people registered to speak. I have a Shengshu Zhang and one other person registered to speak. Now, is the agent there?
Yes.
Can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Yeah, my name is Shengshu Zhang, applicant architect. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Your address, sir?
Yeah, address 98 Scarsdale Road, North York.
Okay, thank you. If you could give us a very brief presentation on what you see as the merits of the variances you're requesting.
Yes. So we have 26 variances. 4 of that for the new zoning bylaw 569 2013. The first and the last two for the old bylaw 7625. So the first variance is about the driveway width. So the bylaw allows a width of 9 meters. We proposed the driveway 9.76 meters. But I like to mention is that that width is only for the portion immediately attached to the 3-car garage, so that the car can drive off. The rest part and the curb cut, the width is only 5.45 meters. So I have also read the review report from the transportation department that supports the proposed driveway width. So the second one is about the deck projection to the rear yard. So we proposed 3 meters. The zoning bylaw allows 2.5 meters. But the 3 meters actually is measured from the main wall, and part of the deck is actually on the small bay in the rear yard. From the bay to the edge of the deck is actually only 1.8 meters. So I think that is the deck is overall size is quite small. And by the way, we provided the required side yard setback. I don't think that variance of half meter will have any impact to the neighbors. And actually, the part where the deck locates to the neighbor's property line actually is 3.2 meters. So I think that is minor. And then the third one about the coverage. So this lot is relatively small in the neighborhood, similar to the lot of the lot 21 DENEWOOD that cross the street, and then they have coverage 33.8% approved, and actually with our proposed coverage is 32.57%. We have an exactly same building size with that one. Even our lot is slightly larger than that one. So the fourth is about the rear yard setback. So we proposed 8.82 meter rear yard setback. That zoning bylaw requires 9.14 meters. So we have like 30 centimeter shorter setback. But again, because we have a small bay in the rear yard, so if we measure from the main wall, the setback will be 10.02 meters. So I think that small portion, small encroachment to the rear yard will not have any impact on neighbors. And the last two variances about to the old bylaw. The first one, the number 5.
Sir, can you summarize, please?
Yeah, the number 5, the height, building height is more than that, but our building height is compliant with the new zoning bylaw. And also for the first floor height, we proposed 1.67 meters, but for the new zoning bylaw, we have only 0.66 meters.
Sir, can you summarize?
So, yes, I believe all the variances are minor.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Rajan Arora. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, they appear not to be present.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take them off. Again, to the committee, the only comments we had on this application were from Transportation Services on July 23rd. They had no objection to the driveway width. Other than that, there's no one else. There are no other comments on this application. Are there any, does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move this application, there is no recommendation from the staff though, and transportation is okay with the driveway width, and the forestry is okay too. So it looks like all these variances are minor. Therefore, I would like to move it to be approved.
Thank you very much. Someone to second Mr. Khan's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? A motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application has been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have item number 28, Ravenscroft Circle. I have one person registered to speak. And before I start on that, Mr. Clapp, there was one other person registered to speak. It's a resident, Alan Owens. Is he there?
He was present, yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, he's still there. Okay, thank you. The agent is Mr. Ali Malik Zeta. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, hello, sir. If you could, I just wanted to ask, have you seen the city planning report of July 29th? Because they're recommending that a modification be made to the application, which apparently you've agreed to, that is reducing variance number 2 regarding the exterior sidewall from 8.76 meters to 8.5. And should committee approve the application, that the proposal be developed in substantial accordance with the side yard and rear yard setback measurements as seen on the site plan drawing submitted with the application. Are you proposing to make any changes to your application, sir, in context with that city planning report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, as suggested by planning staff, item number 2, the variance number 2 is going to change from 8.76 meter to 8.5 meter.
Okay, so variance number 2, the proposed height of the side exterior main walls facing the side lot line is 8.76 meters, and you're proposing to change that from 8.76 meters to 8.5. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. If you could, sir, if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see are the merits of your proposal.
Sure. First, we had a chance to talk with our side neighbor, and it was a little bit late to post that. What those are or register them on the Committee of Adjustment website, but they are available. So we had supporting letter from number 6. And number 10 also we discussed, and they are happy with the proposal, but they didn't want to sign any written letter. So they are exactly satisfied with the application and then our proposal. So just as per the planner explanation, and then I really appreciate that they very detailed explain and then review this drawing. We have a proposed reduced side yard setback and at the garage site, and that exactly because of the pie shape lot, and in that proposal and then reduced side yard setback, we only extending the garage beyond the permitted side yard setback. The first floor and then second floor is completely set back and then comply with the side yard setback. So I just wanted to notify that. And then also, again, pie shape and then the way that the building depth and then side yard, rear yard setback is calculated, we have only the northwest side of the back wall is projecting to the rear side yard setback, which is very minor, and we explained that to our neighbor, and then they understand the conditions. These are the two that I wanted to add to my presentation. The height, we proposing the flat roof to the front of the building just because of the look and then the request of the homeowner, which reduced to 8.5 meter. And it doesn't have any shadow impact or any impact to the our side neighbors. So the back of the house and then the rear portion of the house, like a 2/3 of the house, they are all slope roof, and then they completely comply with the requirement of the main wall height and then the height.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the deputy on our list. I have Mr. Alan Owens. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
Mr. Owens, can I get your name and
Hello, Mr.
address,
Chair.
please?
Yeah, my name is Alan Owens. I live at 6 Ravenscroft Circle, so right next door to number 8.
Okay, can I get your views on the minor variance request then?
Yeah, I was very curious to see how a hearing like this operated. I want to say that the neighbors have been very cooperative, collaborative, very neighborly in how they went about discussing the plans with us, explaining what was being done, what the variances mean. And so I came here to actually offer my wholehearted support to them, and we have no issues with the variances. We're very happy with what they're doing.
Oh, that's very good. That's good to hear. Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application? And just note that variance number 2 has been revised as per city planning recommendations so that the proposed height of the side exterior main walls facing a side lot line has been reduced from 8.76 meters to 8.5. So if I could get a motion on this revised application, please. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have already read the reduction of extra wall height from 8.76 to 8.5. And this being done, the staff recommends that the development substantially be in accordance with the side yard and rear yard setbacks measurements as seen on the site plan drawings attached to this report. So With that condition, it should be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Got to get someone to second Mr. Khan's motion. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item number 21, which is 37 Riverdale Drive, 37 Divadale Drive. I'd just like to note that there are no staff comments or conditions listed for this application. There's no one registered to speak other than the agent. Mr. David Sturdy, are you there, sir?
I'm here.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
David Sturdy, and I'm the owner at 37 Divadale Drive.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's very clear what you're asking for. It's the one variance related to the floor space index. Very clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or it would like a presentation. No, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that the single variance is minor in nature, and I would move approval of this application.
Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now on to item number 22, 19 Glen Park Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. Again, I note that there are no staff comments or conditions listed in regard to this application. We have two people registered to speak. Mr. Mohammed Himmel, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Pardon me?
Yes, I am here.
Hang on just a moment. I don't have that here. On 19? 22? I don't have it. I don't have it here. No, I don't have it. Ms. Cordes, do you have a report from city planning on? Yeah. For 22?
I have it. Do you want me to read it out, Alan?
Just a moment. Okay. Ten Glen Park Avenue.
No, it's 19 Glen Park.
It's 19 Glen Park. 19 Glen Park. Okay, okay, sir, my mistake. I just didn't have this. I don't have this piece of information in my file, but according to city planning, they're recommending refusal of your request to have 3 stories instead of 2. So if you would like to give the committee a presentation on why you don't agree with the committee's decision?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Mohammed Eden Himmel. I'm the owner of this property. And it's very surprising to me that the city is actually recommending that, because I'm not changing anything. I'm not changing any structural or any kind of visual effect of the property. It was always been approved for third story as well, being used as a mechanical room and a storage space. Now, being in during this pandemic, we realized how important family is, because we have a couple of losses in the family due to this COVID-19, and we realized that we need to stay together with the family. So I'm having my elderly family members, my parents, and my disabled brother to move in with me. So I need an extra little space in this house, and we don't have any other variances. Before it was used as a storage space or mechanical room. I'm not even adding any dormer or any of that, just as is. I'm just finishing inside. If you walk down the street, you will see tons of other houses having third floor attic space being converted into different purposes. But we wanted to keep it as simple as that. I'm a student of law. I wanted to keep everything legal. And that's why I came to committee for an approval. And even adjacent to my property, mine is 19 Glen Park, whereas 21 Glen Park has finished third floor as well, with 11 dormers, and all the attic space are being used for as a livable space. So all I'm asking to the city, or all I'm asking to this committee to approve this application, so that I can invite my family to live here with me as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I just ask, in terms of, you're not changing the height of the building. The only thing you're adding
No.
that gives it the appearance of a third story is the fact that there's a window at the roof level. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no, I didn't even, I'm not changing anything structural. I'm not changing the roofs, nothing outside, even how it looks from outside. Not a single neighbor will be affected by any of those changes inside that I'm doing in this property. It's just adding more space to it. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the applicant, your application was to convert the attic to livable space with an outdoor terrace. Where exactly would that terrace sit?
It's on the roof, on the roof level on the second floor, on the second one, because it's staggered. And we don't have any variance on the terrace.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any further questions of the speaker? I have one person registered to speak on this item. It's Mr. Ari Kleiman. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, Ari Kleiman is not present.
Okay, thank you. Again, there is no one here registered to speak on this item. I just wanted to note that there is a planning report recommending refusal of the variances for the variance for 3 stories. Unfortunately, I don't have it in my package here, but there is a planning report. There are no other staff comments on the application. Again, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I realize what planning has indicated, but in hearing the explanations by the applicant today, I feel that I'm in favor of this application. I do believe that it is minor, and in the absence of anyone else complaining about it and it not being that visible from a street level in that regard, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application as
Okay,
is.
thank you. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Item number 23, 25 ASHGROVE Place. I have one person registered to speak. That's a Nadeem Irfan. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, my name is Nadeem Irfan. I'm the agent and applicant of this.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask, have you seen the, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Nadeem Irfan, 10 Milner Business Court, Suite 710, Toronto, Ontario, M1B 3C6.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask if you had the opportunity to see the city planning report of the 29th of July. They're recommending that if we approve the application, it be developed in substantial accordance with the front yard setback as seen on the site plan drawing attached to the report. And I also noticed that we have a report from Toronto Region Conservation Authority, which has no objection to the application. I have no one registered to speak on this item. The variances you're requesting are pretty straightforward. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd? Mr. Kidd, we can't hear you, buddy.
Mr. Chair, I feel that the requested variances are of a minor nature, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the conditions set out in the staff report that the property be developed in substantial accordance with the front yard setback seen on the site plan drawing attached.
Okay, thank you. Can I get someone to second Mr. Kidd's motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item number 24, 369 DELORAINE Avenue. I have two people registered to speak on this item. One is the agent, Nushin Mozafari. I hope I got that right. Are you there?
Yes.
I'm sorry, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Nushin Mozafari. I'm here on behalf of my client, owner of 369 DELORAINE Avenue.
Okay, thank you, madam. Have you had the opportunity to read the city planning report of the 15th of July? They're recommending the property be, if we approve the application, it be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and east side elevation drawing submitted to the committee, and that the applicant provide permanent opaque screening or fencing along the east edge of the proposed front porch with a minimum height of 1.5 meters from the floor, and permeable materials are to be used for the proposed driveway. Have you seen those recommended conditions, madam?
Yes, I have seen those and we are absolutely okay with those recommendations.
Okay, thank you. I notice I have one person registered to speak on this item, so madam, if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits
Mr.
of the
Chair, if I
proposal.
may, Gary James is not present.
Oh, he's not present. Okay, thank you. That clears it up. Thank you, Mr. Clapp. Committee members, I have no one registered to speak on this item. Again, we have just the comments from the recommended conditions from city planning. Does the committee have any questions or comments, or would it like a presentation? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe that this does meet the four tests as presented before me today. I will put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the July 15th, 2020 staff recommendations that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and east side elevation drawing submitted to this committee, and that they provide permanent opaque screening or fencing along the east edge of the proposed porch for a minimum height of 1.5 meters, and that permeable materials be used for the proposed driveway.
Thank you. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Through your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to item number 25, 35 Glengrove. That application has been closed. Item number 26, 34 Wasdale Crescent. I have, let's just go here, 35 Glengrove Avenue East. I have one person registered to speak. That's a Mr. Lauren Rose. Are you there, sir? Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Del Grosso. Are you there, sir?
Yes, present, yes.
Yes,
Mr.
can I
Chair.
get your full name and address, please, sir?
Yes, Anthony Del Grosso, 406 Horsham Avenue, North York.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask if you've had the opportunity to read the report from City Planning dated the 29th of July. They had no objection to your proposal, subject to that if the committee approved it, the application be developed in substantial accordance with the site plan drawing attached to this report. Have you seen that application, sir?
Yes, we have.
And there's a Transportation Services report of July 23rd, which had no objections to your application either. I noticed that there's no one registered to speak on this item and that the variances before us are pretty straightforward. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation.
Mr. Chair, just to say something, I don't see a staff report within my my plans or transportation report. I don't know if maybe it's just my copy.
I'm saying on just a moment, just a second. Oh, that's my mistake, Ms. Sankar. 34
Okay.
Wasdale, there were no staff. I'm going from the GlenGrove Avenue one. My mistake.
Okay.
My mistake. There's actually
So then,
there are no staff comments or conditions listed with this application.
right, and so the only question I had is just if he could explain why the floor, the gross floor area has increased that much. Just an explanation, please.
Well, we are converting the existing storage units at the back, garages units, into livable space, residential units. So therefore, that area is now part of the floor area, which was garage or storage.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I would like to ask the present space, what it is used for?
Right now, it's just storage.
No, I mean, I want to know what kind of storage.
Well, they have like garbage bins in there and just material. The owner has his own, I guess, material in there, lawnmowers, snow blowers and stuff like that. So he's managed to clean those out, and he got a separate unit elsewhere in the city. And now this space is clear, so there's no one uses this space. It's just an empty room right now.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, again, there are no requested comments or conditions from staff. So if I could get a motion on this application, please. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, this place has been used as a space, storage space. And this is not a minor variance to me. The intent of the variance does not comply with the zoning bylaw 10.54040/4. Also, basements are not included in the gross floor area. The area is substantial and large and inappropriate for development. Therefore, it fails the 4 test, and I move it to be refused.
So, Mr. Khan, you're recommending the application be approved?
I refused.
Oh, refused, okay. I have a motion from Mr. Khan to refuse the application. Can I get someone to second that motion? That motion does not carry. Can I get another motion? Ms. Sankar?
I don't share the same view as Mr. Khan. My perspective is that it is minor, and I understand what the use is for. And so for that reason, I will put forward a motion to approve the application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application has been approved without condition.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Our next item is number 27, 365 Lytton Boulevard. I have 2 people registered to speak. I have a Ty Ryak as the agent. Are you there, sir?
Yes, Tay Rook here to present.
Yes, can I get your full name? Sir, can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure. My name is Tay Rook. I'm the planner for the owners of the property at 365 Lytton Boulevard.
Okay, thank you, sir. I wanted to ask if you've had the opportunity to see the city planning report of the 15th of July, which recommends that if the committee approve the application, that the applicant provide permanent opaque screening or fencing along the east edge of the proposed front porch and west side of the rear deck with a minimum height of 1.5 meters from the floor, and that you develop the property substantially in accordance with the site plan and west side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment attached as attachments number 1 and 2 to their report. Have you had an opportunity to read that report, sir?
Yes, sir. We did review the report, and we have no problems in complying with those
Okay,
conditions.
thank you, sir. If you could give us a very brief presentation on the application. We have one other person registered to speak, so if you could tell us what your views are on your proposal.
Sure. The proposal before you today is to construct a new two-story single detached dwelling on the subject site. If the committee could put up the presentation slide that I had submitted to the committee, it would be helpful. But basically, there are variances related to the side yard setbacks for the building and also for the porch and the deck at the rear. In addition to that, there's also variance related to building length and depth and also FSI. The proposal before you, unfortunately, I guess the presentation slide that's before you is not in color, but basically what you do see at the rear of the property as it relates to building length and building depth at 19.25 and 19.87 respectively. The reason for the length and depth variance is because of the one-story proposed extension at the rear, which is located on the left top of the building, which is highlighted in green. Majority of the building in principle is 17 meters in length, all within compliance with the zoning bylaw. You'll also note that there is a red dashed line that is on that presentation slide. That's unfortunately not in color, but what you see is that the existing dwelling on the east side is currently at 0.9, and that's the variance that we're seeking on the east side. On the west side, you'll see that there's a variance for 1.2 meters. And throughout this neighborhood, the pattern of development, what you find in this neighborhood is one in which that minimum required side yard setbacks of 1.5 meters is not met. Majority of the side yard setbacks of the properties within the neighborhood are less than 1.5 meters. And what you find in terms of the pattern of development is that the houses on one side of the side lot line is located closer than the other. And what we're representing as part of this proposal is that same pattern of development. And you'll see on the site plan the existing neighbors at 363, 365. They also have reduced side yard setbacks that does not comply with 1.5 meters. There's also, with respect to FSI, 0.65 times the lot area is very typical of what you find in this neighborhood. What you see on the site plan is a building envelope that is predominantly inconsistent with in terms of the front walls, rear walls, and also the side yard setbacks that are found throughout this neighborhood. And you'll also note there's no variances related to height or main wall height variances, which calls into the question of the fact that this proposal is, in terms of massing and the way it's been deployed on the property, is more than appropriate and very appropriate for the context of the neighborhood. The application has been circulated to various staff. Only planning department had commented. They have no issues with this application, subject to those two conditions that was indicated by the chair. And the proposal in itself is in terms of building mass and built form, is consistent in terms of height, massing, and the way it presents to the streetscape. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And I'll hear the other individuals speak to this matter.
Thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I do have a question. You indicated that this is the side yard setbacks are usually reduced from 1.5 to lesser within the neighborhood, and that your direct neighbors on either side have reduced setbacks. What is the amount of their reduced setbacks? And then number two, just if you can explain again the floor space index for me.
Sure. What you find immediately to the neighbors at 363 and 367 is approximate side yard setbacks to the subject site of approximately 1.1 to 1.2 meters in terms of side yard setbacks. And what you see is that as you go see through the neighborhood, one of the side yard setbacks is actually less than 1.2 meters. It's approximately 0.9. So the house is shifted closer to one of the side yard setbacks on one side. But nonetheless, both side yard setbacks throughout the neighborhood does not comply with the 1.5 meter standard. What you find in this neighborhood is a reduced side yard setback pattern of development that's found in this neighborhood. and that is a built form that's been deployed. In terms of FSI, there are similar examples of 0.65 and as high as up to 0.75 in this neighborhood in the form of a two-story single detached dwelling. However, if you look at this proposal from an elevation perspective and on the site plan perspective, the front wall of the dwellings is in line with the adjacent properties on either side, and also along the streetscape and also along the neighborhood. And also you'll note that the majority of the house, the principal house itself, is 16.99 meters in length, with the exception of that one-story extension at the rear of the property, that little bump out at the top, which basically is a one-story element that contributes to the length and depth variances. However, if you look at this house from a streetscape perspective, as one would walk by this dwelling, one would not be able to discern whether or not if this is a 0.6 times house or 0.65 times house, or even a higher FSI for that matter, because of the massing and the way that this house has been designed and deployed on the property is consistent in terms of built form and is more than appropriate for given the context of this neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? Mr. Kidd?
You mentioned the neighbors have side yard setbacks of 1.1 meter. I'm just looking at the survey there. The neighbor to the west is 1.5 meters. The neighbor to the east is, is 1.45 meters.
Sorry, sir. Let me just pull up the survey. Oops. So what you find is, so that 1.5 meters that you define for 363, that's actually to, there's a bump out that you'll note that's there. So it's not measured to that, it's measured to the further setback wall. So that's the 1.54. And also again, the other measurement that you refer to at 1.2, that also does not include the bump outs that are on either side. So what you find—
Those are chimney breasts, right?
Chimney and wall elements. So basically, they're not all chimney elements, sir. So the one on the one side is a chimney element, but also on the other side, they're not chimney elements. There isn't two chimneys there. They're just basically articulation within the main wall. And what you find is that on this particular site, what we've done is that we maintain that reduced side yard setback of 0.9 on the one side, on the east side, maintaining that side yard, so respecting the existing condition. However, also at the same time, because of the fact that the proposal is seeking a 1.2 meter variance along the west side, it also provides enough separation distance because of the fact that the proposed dwelling itself doesn't have any variances related to height. And so it's not something that is going to be overcrowding the adjacent dwellings on either side. And in addition to the fact that the rear walls of the two-story element of the dwelling is consistent in terms of where it lines up along the rear wall. So this is not a dwelling that extends massively, a two-story dwelling that extends way beyond the adjacent dwellings, or for that matter, any other dwellings in the neighborhood. The only portion that extends beyond that 17 meters is that one-story element, which is that bump out at the rear, and it does not extend the entire width of the dwelling.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? I have a Mr. Jordan Pearl. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Jordan Pearl, 363 Lytton Boulevard.
Okay, thank you. Can you give us your views on this application, please?
We built a house 5 years ago, and we don't.
Sir, you have to speak up.
Sorry, we built our house 5 years ago, and we do not want to be a troublemaker, but we have a couple of issues with the plans. The biggest problem is that extension of the length of the house. It does seem like it's going to go past our house quite dramatically, and also the fact that And I acknowledge the side yard setback does not seem to be that onerous, but when they have windows facing on that our side of the house, it becomes a little bit more of a problem for us. You know, I have 3 young kids. You know, we spend a lot of time in the backyard. You know, we really value our privacy there, and I think the house extending past us and then looking out into with a window that looks out into our backyard is really problematic for us.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being no questions, the applicant has the opportunity to address the concerns raised by the previous speaker.
Yes, with respect to the portion that extends beyond the 17-meter, which is that one-story extension at the rear, you'll note that the side yard setback for that one-story extension is 1.65 meters, so it's greater than the requirement for that portion. And in addition to that, there is a side window for that one-story element, but also between the properties there is fencing, and we could provide for fencing to limit or mitigate any impacts in terms of views. However, with that being said, the proposal itself from a massing perspective, in terms of the way it's been deployed on the property, in terms of length and depth, is more than appropriate, because this proposal does not create any new impacts that's not already experienced in terms of what's experienced in the neighborhood today, in terms of views, overlook into adjacent properties. This is something that is typical. However, with that being said, you'll also note that there's trees in between the properties with canopies that do provide for additional mitigating matters in terms of views. However, my client is more than happy to speak with the neighbor at 363 in terms of mitigating any views that may be impactful to the neighbor by providing for a higher fence or providing for some sort of additional screening. That's not an issue. But with that being said, it is important to note that the side yard setback for that one-story element is 1.65 versus 1.5, which is required.
Okay.
And that was done on sorry, sir. That was done on that was a very conscious effort that was done because we wanted to ensure that we did not want to have the portion of the dwelling that extends beyond the 17 meters to be along the same side yard setback at 0.9 on the west side. Sorry, on the east side.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After listening to the presentation and following the recommendation from the staff, I think provide permanent opaque screening along east side of the proposed front porch and west side of rear deck with a minimum height of 1.5 meters from the floor. And 2, property be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings and west side elevation drawings, and attachment 1 and 2 to this report of Committee of Adjustment should be approved.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second Mr. Khan's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application has been approved subject to city planning conditions dated in their, as stated in their 15th of July report.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Item number 28, which is 45 Park Hill Road. I have one speaker registered. That's the agent, Mr. Ian Cunha. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, sir.
Yes,
Ian
Mr.
Cunha.
Cunha, thanks very much. I just note that there are, I have no staff comments or conditions on your application. It's very clear what you're asking for. It's 2 variances related to floor space index and proposed height of the building. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. No? If that being the case, could I get again, there is no one registered to speak on this item. Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move that variance 1 and 2 are minor, therefore it should be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Mr. Cunha, your application has been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
189 Churchill Avenue, item number 29, I have one person registered to speak here, and that is Raman Sandhu. Are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, sir, if you had the opportunity to read the reports from city planning dated the 22nd of July, they're recommending your application be refused. And there's also comments from Councillor Filion, who's recommending that your application be refused. So would you, do you want to make a presentation to the committee on what's proposed here? Or would you like to defer it and deal with city planning?
Actually, for the city planning, there were some issues.
Sir, I'm having
with,
trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Vaguely.
Give me one.
Speak into the
second.
microphone.
Yes,
That's better.
Is now good? Okay, that's good. So about the issues,
Sir, we're not hearing you. You have to speak into the microphone.
let me get a little closer to the Wi-Fi. So the initial, can you hear me now?
Not very well.
What about now?
That's better.
Okay, so the initial application that we did to the Committee of Adjustment, we had it labeled as fourplex. But then we worked with the planning and they told us that if you label it as three secondary units instead of a fourplex, because fourplex goes into the realm of apartment building. And if you do three secondary units, it will be still considered as a residential unit with three interior apartments, which are like for renting purposes, with the owner occupying the space.
Okay,
So
okay, sir,
that's-
sir, before you go any further,
Yeah.
you don't want to defer your application so you can discuss it with city planning? Yes or no?
We would like to proceed with the application for the time being. If it is refused, we will do another application.
So you'd like to proceed with the application?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, then we offered, so now it's your risk. So,
Okay.
so make your case.
Okay, so the initial application which we did, like I mentioned in the beginning, that was for a fourplex. But in the time being, while we were dealing with the planning, they told us fourplex is not allowed. But later on, I got a call from the planner that we can offer you some support and we can think about it. If you connect the apartments from the interior and show it that it is going to be interior spaces as secondary units, not more like an apartment building. So we did that. That actually helped us to reduce the number of variances. So we are down to only two variances now. One is the total number of secondary units, and the second is the number of parkings. Since this is a corner lot, we have plenty of parking. We have three parkings, and the parking for a smaller car, which is not as per the city standards, but a smaller car could easily park there. So there is plenty of parking. This is a corner lot very close to Yonge Street. Yonge Street is just 2 blocks down from this location. The size of the house is also plenty. You can see the floor plans as being presented to you. The size of the units, we are not even so. Some applications, when they do this kind of application, the size of unit becomes a problem. But in this application, that is not a problem. The size of an apartment, as recommended by the bylaw, is present there. And right now, the existing situation, the existing house has 2 apartments on main floor, 2 units that is already been approved by the city. the building permit is, I think, ongoing or it's closed, but it's already approved. The basement is unfinished. So if this application goes to refusal, the basement is going to remain unfinished, and no one is going to use it. If this is approved, that could be used for renting for someone, because the rents in that area is pretty high.
Okay, sir,
Anyone
can you
can get
summarize?
Okay, so anyone who wants to get an affordable housing, it could go there. The owner is fine with registering with affordable housing if city sends any people from their side. Additionally, just 2 blocks from here, there are townhouses. They provide, these are modern kind of buildings. The parkings are there. The density is more. This
Okay,
is a
thank you, sir.
detached.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I note that there are no one else registered to speak on this application. Again, we have a.
Mr. Chair, there was a question from Mr. Khan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Khan. I'm sorry. Please go. Please proceed.
No problem, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to ask the applicant, is it a single family house?
The existing condition, it is a 2-unit house. So
No,
secondary,
sir.
one
I
secondary
simply
unit
want
is
to ask
already being approved.
how it is zoned. It is zoned a single family dwelling?
It is zoned as no. The whole North York region is zoned for secondary units. So you can have 2 units anywhere without committee application.
So it's a simple question, sir. Is it or is it not a single-family dwelling?
The existing status of the property is 2-unit dwelling, and that is registered, that is approved by the city.
Mr. Rahman, the term you are using, one is primary, the other is secondary. So it is a
Yes,
single
sir.
dwelling house. Yes
It
or
is
no?
a single. It is a yes. I mean, if you
Thank you
mean
very
that,
much.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I really wish the applicant had taken up your proposal to defer it, because I'm going to go by what I see here, what staff is recommending, and what I've heard today. In good conscience, I can't approve this application. I'm putting forward a motion to refuse it. I do not believe it meets any of the 4 tests.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries. Sir, your application has been refused. Item
Okay,
number
thank you.
30, 217 Kingsdale Avenue. I have one speaker registered to speak. That's an Ali Asadinik. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, sure. My name is Ali, last name is Sadinik. The address is 217 Kingsdale Avenue.
Okay, thank you,
Norcross,
sir. I just wanted to
Ontario.
ask, have you had the opportunity to read the city planning report of the 22nd of July? That report indicates that you were making revisions to the application, specifically the exterior main wall height, reducing it to 8.78 meters from 8.93. And should you do this and committee decide to approve the application, city planning was recommending that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the east and west elevation drawings submitted to the committee as attachments 1 and 2 to their report. Have you had the opportunity to read their report of the 22nd July?
Yes, I did, and I would comply
Are you
with the
proposing to make a
conditions.
change to your application in conformance with city planning's recommendation?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, could you tell the committee what that change is?
Yeah, we would reduce the side exterior main wall height to 8.78 meters.
That's variance number 3.
That's
correct?
correct, yeah. Yes.
From 8.93 to 8.78, was it?
Yes, exactly. Originally, it was like the requested variance originally was 8.93 meters. Based on our communication with planning staff, we're gonna reduce it to 8.78 meters.
Okay, thank you. Again, with respect to the other variances that are before us, it's pretty clear what you're asking for. I note that we have no one registered to speak on this item. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application? Please note that variance number 3 has been changed so that, as revised, so that the proposed height of the side exterior main walls facing a side lot line is 8.93 meters. That has been reduced from 8.93 meters to 8.78. So if I could get a motion on the revised application, please, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, you have also repeated the change of item number 3. The main wall height has been changed to 8.78 meter. And following the recommendations of the staff, the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the east side and west side elevation drawings submitted to Committee of Adjustment, date stamp as received on May 21st, 2020, attached as an attachment of 1 and 2 to this report. Number 2, forestry requirements to be fulfilled.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Khan. Someone to second Mr. Khan's motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning and urban forestry conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's our last item of the day. Can I get a motion to terminate, please? Please.
Motion to
Thank
terminate.
you. I'll second that. Thanks very much, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
It was
you.
great working with all of you
Bye,
and
Shankar.
Dan and the team.
Bye, Ms. Shankar.
Sorry,